Hi folks, Roger Cormier, Midwest Outdoors at ICAST 2023 in Orlando, Florida. We are in the Pursuit Channel's booth. It's their 15th anniversary of broadcasting, and we brought together a roundtable panel of Midwest Outdoors contributors to talk about a few of many new products that have been introduced at ICAST this year. That looks like another reel handle and reel seat, but really it's not. It's the new MWO bass rods from St. Croix, guys. They've been known for bringing technological innovations to rods for many, many years. It's their 75th anniversary they're celebrating this year. And they've created really a unique reel seat and reel handle that fits your hand. It's not really ergonomically, that's not the design of it. If you think about when you wrap your hand around a rod, you do not make a circle with your hand. As you grip that, you'll feel how comfortable and how much control you have of that rod blank. That's a technology that's called anthropometrics. That's the technological term for it, but essentially it means they've crafted a reel handle and reel seat that naturally fits the human hand. There's nothing else like it on the market. Really
Repeat
cool
that,
new
what it
product.
is again?
It's called anthropometrics.
I just wanted to see if he was going to sneak, that's all.
I can spell it for you too if you want.
No, that's all right.
You really can't see it too much on the camera, but if you find one of these new MWO bass rods at a retailer when they're introduced this year and put it in your hand, you will see and feel the difference. Pretty cool new product.
All right, guys, so what I have here is not focusing on just the jig itself, but the skirt and the paint on the jig, okay? So this is from All Terrain Tackle, right? A Midwestern rooted company. And what they have done, actually, this is a cat out of the bag, a secret out of the pros lineup. This is a glow-in-the-dark series, okay? So they're gonna do this with their flipping jigs, their pitching jigs, their skipping jigs, their swim jigs, and because for over 20 years, they've been making custom baits for pros on tour that they have not released to the public because it has been truly such a trade secret. But they said no longer can they wait on it. You know, they feel like they've perfected it and it's just growing in popularity. So they said now's the time to get it out before someone else does. So the main purpose that people really love doing this is when they're punching heavy mats down in like Alabama and Florida and Texas and such. Because you have such light cancellation, you know, with those mats, you don't get any sunlight down there, that they've taken a page out of their ice fishing section of their company and they have brought it to the bass fishing world. And I talked to a couple pros today about it and they swear by it. So this is definitely something I'm intrigued by. And I think the bass fisherman out there that is looking to add a little something new to their lineup, I think by All Terrain Tackle, this glow-in-the-dark series of jigs is something to look forward to in the future.
Well, glow in the dark is always good.
Always.
Always. You're telling me then that the anglers in the South that were using this, the company looked at this and said, okay, we're going to change a few things and take some skills from the northern anglers on how to catch more fish. Exactly. I'm just making that little point, okay? And I would like to see that under a black light. I bet you it's really cool.
Yeah.
But so that's not too bad. And, you know, well, you can always floss if you needed to, but that's a pretty stiff bristle on there, but it is flexible enough.
Well, and with punching, you know, you want a little thicker, a little more rigid weed guard because you are going to intentionally every single time go through hydrilla, go through pads, go through moss. So you do want to beef that up because those bites are usually pretty strong. You got that heavy gear with that.
The coolest thing I saw at this entire show
was
this reel that's made in Sweden. It's made by a company called Sabilo. And what it is, they call it an auto thumb bait caster, meaning you don't have to use your thumb when you're using this bait caster. And I see the look on your face, right?
Yep.
So I had them take me over to the casting pond and demonstrate it to me.
Sure.
And I said, okay, give it to me. And I took it. You do not lose any distance. You do not lose any accuracy.
Wow.
You do not use your thumb. No spool, no bird's nest. There are no magnetic weights in this. It is all mechanical. The engineer who demonstrated this for me, big, tall Swedish guy named Stig, S-T-I-G.
Stig.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good northern name.
Good northern name. They have two models out right now. I'm not sure how their distribution is. It's a brand new company, first time here at ICAST. But they have a larger model, the Genesis, and then they have a smaller bass fishing model. and it's called the Draken. And I'm not sure, but I think that means dragon in Swedish. It's really cool. The action's really good on it.
No brake.
No brake. It's all mechanical.
Very nice and lightweight too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mark, when you were playing with these, or while you were watching some of the guys from the company play with it, you're telling me someone could grab this reel and throw the bait right at the ground and it won't explode into a backlash.
Yes.
It'll just stop.
Yes. So if you're a novice fisherman, or if you're intimidated by bait casters because you really never practiced or didn't sit
Great
on
for
your
kids too.
didn't sit on your porch all day practicing, getting the hang of it,
Might
you
be
could,
the bait.
You could pick up this reel and go with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a spaz when it comes to bait casters. I'll admit it. You know, that's why you see me with a spinning reel. But
Nice.
this is something that I thought was just very
Absolutely.
unique
This
to
is
the
best
show
version.
That
for the last 3 years.
it's so small.
Yes.
Pretty
I
looking
mean,
reel too.
This is really small, which is cool. Which is
Yeah.
cool. The one bait I got real quick here, because we got a couple other things to show, is called Biz Baits. Started out as a local Chicago company, Biz Bait. It's really an interesting because now they pour their own lead and they powder coat them and stuff like that. They got a full line of plastics, so they're really, getting into a broader selection. When you look at the baits, they are very different than a lot of other. I mean, because there's lots of great plastic baits out there, but these are really different, and they have a different look to them. They got a different feel, the density, and all kinds of stuff. And whether it's the plastics, whether it's the pad dilly, whether it's the worms, whether it's the crayfish that really look like you could want to eat one of them. I mean, it's just amazing. But it's anglers that are making it, young anglers. It's a whole crowd. I don't think there's a person under the age of 32 that works for this company, including the owner. So, I mean, it's really a neat thing. And this Biz Baits, and I think we're going to see a lot more of them across the country.
Are they still made? Well, Chicago's our hometown, so it's still made there.
They were made there, but now he's moved the operation to North Carolina.
North Carolina.
I was fortunate enough to compete against Brian in the college circuit in the Illinois level. And, this was, like Chauncey said, a college idea that moved to a company that started in, guess what, a garage, like some of the biggest companies ever. He went back to Dad's house and started his soft plastic company in his dad's garage. And now it's a full-time job, with employees, with an office, and again, love supporting a Midwestern company, love supporting a Chicagoland company. So great job, Brian. What else do we got here?
What do you got from Lakewood here?
Lakewood, this is new tackle box from Lakewood. Now everybody's pitching. What is somebody's favorite baits to throw? Come on. What are they?
Swim baits?
Swim baits? Okay.
My
And-
favorite?
Yep, his favorite. Now just check this out. This is a new tackle box that I'll hold it up this way just so we can get a feel of the depth of it. But then you hang all the baits on the inside, and they don't get you're not having a tangle in there. There we go, and that's how they're hooked on here. And then you just pick it up, take your bait off, fish for it, put it back on. They counted all the baits, just so you know.
Sorry.
And then you just drop it back in,
Very slick.
and then it's that easy. And this thing is made out of some unbelievable durable. This isn't going to wear out. This isn't going to tear. This isn't going to do anything.
Hey,
I mean,
anything that keeps a hook out of my hand,
that's it.
I'm for it.
I'm up for it,
Out of the car seat.
Out of the car seat, my side, a few other things. But this is from Lakewood, and they really have done a nice job on all their lines. And it's musky tackle, ice fishing tackle, gun cases, and all kind of stuff. But this is something brand new that just makes so much sense with this big thrust of swim baits.
Well, you mentioned swim baits. I've got a couple of examples here.
Nice segue.
from Rapala. They branded a new lineup of soft plastics called Crush City. And this is a brainchild of Jacob Wheeler, who is one of the currently best anglers in the world as far as fresh water. And there's 5 different initial soft plastics that they've introduced there at Rapala. I've got the Mayor here, a swim bait, a lot smaller than a musky swim bait. But I'm a huge proponent and fan of throwing swim baits 3, 4, and 5 inch rigged on a jig head for both smallmouth bass and some largemouth, and also a lot of walleyes in the North Country. I've been throwing the Largo shad from Storm for a number of years. I've been fishing it side by side this year with the new Mayor. This is a scented plastic, a lot of great colors, but if you throw a shiner on a jig and throw a shiner colored 3 or 4 inch swim bait on a jig and fish them side by side, you'll be surprised how often It will keep pace with live bait and in some situations even outfish it. And the durability of plastics compared to a live bait, you get one bite on a shiner and that bait is gone. Plastic, you can catch multiple fish on one soft plastic.
Absolutely.
So there's a great new
Cool.
lineup of 5 different soft plastic patterns from Rapala called Crust City. That's the 3 and 4 inch Mayor that I brought to show you guys.
I understand Crush City.
Yeah.
Tell me about the mayor.
Well, that's just like the mayor is the boss of the town
Gotcha.
and kind of controls everything, and the mayor is a swim bait that will give you more control over those fish in the water. So they do have some really cool little names for the 5 different plastic lineup.
Jim, what kind of bait hook would you use on these?
Well, yeah, I was about to say, you know, I look at this bait and there's a lot of applications I can do with this. You can put it right on a ball head jig. You could fish it Texas rig, weedless. You could fish it with a swim bait hook with a belly weight on it. You could fish it as a trailer, of course, you know, on a spinner bait or a chatter bait.
Absolutely.
A-rigs, I know the momentum has been lost a little bit, but it is still one of the best ways to catch giant bass around the country. It's slept around on the Midwest because, you know, we have hook regulations a little different than down south. So yeah, a lot of applications with this. I look forward to checking them out this season for sure.
I like the swim bait with the weighted belly hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that way you can cast it and you can work it down, or cast it, let it get lower, cast it, let it get lower, and still not, you know, worry about messing things up. Cool.
Now, a transition, if you will.
Oh, transition?
Not only bass, but you can catch walleye for sure on these. In fact, small swim baits, paddle tail soft plastic swim baits are probably the best all-around bait since the spoon, in my opinion. It's a bait you can throw, and saltwater, freshwater, big species all the way down to perch and crappie, you can catch on a soft swim bait, you know? And one of my favorite fish to catch is walleye, summer walleye on that. And that's when this would come into play. Here we have the Fenwick World Class, okay? This is a very unique rod. It's a brand new rod here from Fenwick. And not only do you see the whole entire handle to the butt with a very sleek design, but what we're focusing on right here, guys, is this reel seat and this grip here, okay? Do you see how the rod blank is exposed here? So Fenwick worked with medical professionals to find out what sensories we use in our hands. And they found out that these 2 fingers, your pinky and your ring finger, are the most sensitive because we don't use them as much, okay? We don't have them calloused up as much. So you have the most sensitivity on those beds of your fingers. So the way you grip this, your hand's actually gonna reach around and you're gonna be able to feel that rod blank. So if I'm fishing it here, you know, rod down, I can feel that rod blank with these 2 fingers. So you're gonna feel, even if the bite's not hard, right? A lot of times fish actually just mouth baits. They mouth them, they spit them out, they pick them up, sit them down. Those minor bites that you normally don't feel with on very unsensitive equipment, right? You're really gonna feel those now, and this might be the leader in technology when it comes to sensitivity. So you guys, I want to check out that and feel how it feels in your hand, you know?
All right.
It's kind of
Interesting.
interesting how technology comes full circle from the cane pole to this, and then now you're back and you're
We're
actually
back to touching the rod.
touching the rod, yeah.
It really is.
Really
It
kind of
really
cool. So, really neat design.
From electronics to rods to baits, really in the today's century and today's decade, we are just really blowing up the advancements with technology, you know, and we're going to see ever-changing products coming out because of that.
Very cool.
Cool. All right. We've got, well, what about these?
Well, this product really impresses me. There's been blade baits out there. Other companies have had them. There's a Head and Sonar. There's a Cicada way back in the day. Guys my age probably fished with them through the ice a little bit.
Yep.
I've had the pleasure of fishing with this new Rippin' Blade from Rapala. And we were actually a couple weeks ago filming with this up in northern Minnesota, my friend Scott Walsh and I, and we fished it side by side against a Rippin' Rap, which is a deadly technique for catching fish. I mean, shallow water like Green Bay, any big, deeper gravel flats where you've got walleyes and bass hovering. And I fished that bait side by side. Actually, the first cast I made with it as it was falling, I caught a walleye. And one little tip that I discovered with this, like a Rippin' Rap, you fish it pretty aggressively. You snap it up just like a jig and wrap. That's a different kind of action than this. This is more of a vibration in the water, and so you lift it a lot more slowly. And if you rip it really hard, it'll
Got a
twist
mean look.
on the fluorocarbon. But if you pull it up gently and let it
Does it
sink,
flutter?
it flutters up, and it's a really intense vibration that you'll feel on these high-end rods especially. But the fish absolutely just destroy it. It's a really cool new blade bait and a technique that you can apply, again, on those gravel flats for walleyes and bass where you may be fishing rip and wraps. And it's also going to excel in deeper conditions where you're maybe vertically jigging with, snap jigging, like with rip and wraps. And you'll be able to pull that bait up, and that vibration is going to give you an additional triggering action.
I know exactly
for
what you're
catching
talking about,
those
because I
fish.
remember fishing with the old cicadas, and you got that
Yeah.
fluttering coming up, especially when you're jigging.
Yeah, 10 great colors, awesome new lure from Rapala.
Cool.
Now the things I see real quick, taking it out of the box and touching it for the first time, you got 3 different holes up here on top for your clip, so you can make it fall and retrieve a little differently depending on where you put that clip. The hooks are very sticky. I felt that right away. And I like the big head here because some blade baits, and this is what turns me onto a good blade bait or not, is how it falls, right? Because a lot of those bites are going to be on the fall. And I like how this fatter, centralized head up in the front is going to probably make that bait fall real evenly and pretty quick too, to get it back in that strike zone. Because when we're using this, a lot of the time those fish are on the bottom or just off the bottom.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a musky rod. This is coming from our friends at Daiwa, and they have a full line of travel rods. And one of the things that people say about travel rods, oh, once you put them together, you can't get them apart. There's this, there's that. This is an 8'5". So let's put it next to you, we'll figure it out.
I'm about 7 foot, so
It's about 8 foot.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, it's so well made. And the cool thing is, when I first held it, the gentleman got to the very tip and bent it so far, I was like, no. It was going to
Check it
snap.
out.
Come on.
And this is really the cool thing. Watch this. I mean, I know everybody you could really manhandle. And here's the thing. What do you do? We all don't have trucks, SUVs that you can, fit 9 kids in it, when you're not going to soccer practice or something. And, we've got smaller cars, we got this, we got that. But you look at this and it comes apart this easy. And boom, 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 fits in a bag. And the other thing that just amazed me about it was, instead of it being a weak spot, this becomes a strength spot throughout the rod.
Cool.
And it goes into a bag that big. And I went, that's not just for musky fishing. Well, yeah, this rod's for musky fishing. I look kind of funny catching perch with this. But, the rod fits into that, and their whole line of spinning and bait castings. I'm like, you've just made it easier for somebody to take it apart, throw it in the car, and you're not, ducking rods when you're driving. You know what that's like, Jim, when you got the rods going like this?
I do. And I travel a lot with rods, and not only the car, but when I see this bag and this type of rod, I think of the plane, because I travel international a couple times a year to fish, and I travel around the country, and I think of inshore, I think of stripers, I think of a few different types of fishing.
What's the retail on that?
That one, I want to say, was I'm going $199 on it.
Okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed seeing some of the new products here at ICAST 2023. We certainly have had a good time checking out everything that's new here at the show and meeting with some old friends as well. For the rest of our panel, I'm Roger Cormier. We'll be right back with more Midwest Outdoors.